All right. Did you threaten to also take the life of one of your children at that time?
No, I've never done that.
Okay. Now, one of the things that we had already discussed was school, but I want to jump back into that for a few minutes. Since the start of this trial on March 25th, you have taken the kids to Florida. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When did you take the kids to Florida?
I took them the last week that I had them. So it was April. We were there for 3 days. So April 10th to April 13th, I believe the dates were, or April 9th, maybe. But Oliver missed 3 days of school. So.
Okay. And then you also kept him home on March 30th, right?
He was sick that day.
Okay. Isn't it true you kept him home so you guys could snuggle and get ready for Easter?
No, he was sick, so I kept him home because he was sick.
Okay. But you are admitting that you went to Florida, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You are the one who started this divorce, correct?
Like I filed for divorce?
Yes.
I filed, yes.
Okay. And as part of your petition for divorce, do you recall that there was what was called a standing order regarding property and conduct of the parties in divorce attached to that petition?
No, I don't understand what that means.
Okay. Well, have you ever heard the term standing order in this case?
I feel like I've heard the term a temporary order, which was the case that we had in the very beginning. That was 3 years ago.
Okay.
But I don't know if I've ever heard the term standing order.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask the court to take judicial notice of the clerk's file in this case.
Or we'll take judicial notice of the official filings in court.
And Your Honor, I'd like to permission to share my screen, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Mcmillan, I'm showing you a copy of your original petition for divorce filed in this case. Have you ever reviewed this document before?
I'm sure I have. I mean,
okay.
Not recently, but.
Well, one of the requirements when you file for a divorce in Kerr County or a suit affecting the parent-child relationship is that the standing order is attached and it's effective on all parties in the case. Have you ever seen this standing order before?
I don't know that I have. I don't think that I ever would have done anything intentionally to. I haven't in the last 3 years done anything to cause any kind of problems. I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to take them out of the state.
Okay, but you know now that you weren't supposed to without the written permission of Jason or an order of the court. Is that correct?
Well, yes, I'm reading it now. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you'd agree with me then that your trip to Florida a few weeks ago was a violation of the standing order in Kerr County, right? Because you did not have Jason's permission.
We had spoken about it, but I didn't have a written agreement because I didn't know that I needed it, but.
Okay. So Oliver missed 3 days of school for that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so how many days has he missed this year then?
Well, when he's been with me, he's missed 4 because of the trip and 1 sickness. And I believe Jason has had 10 absences so far.
Okay. Well, the last time we were here, we talked about the fact that he had 3 unexcused absences.
No, that was in 2nd grade. That was
2nd grade.
Last year. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. But other than your testimony, you don't have any proof that he's actually missed 10 days of school with Jason, right?
I have a report card that talks about his absences,
Okay.
but I don't have a cataloged date, like I did for last year when absences were an issue.
So him missing 14 days this year is not an issue?
Well, as I've said, when he's with me, he doesn't miss school haphazardly. So it hasn't been an issue from the school because you are allowed 17 absences per year. So the issue was last year that Oliver had, before COVID, I think it was by mid-January, he had 15 absences. So that's what.
So when you say missing school haphazardly, you didn't go to Florida on his spring break, correct?
Correct. We went on a family trip. We went to go see my brother, and my mother was turning 61. And I didn't know that I needed written permission from Jason. So, we took a family trip for my mother's 61st birthday and for the boys to see their sister, who they never get to see anymore. So that's why we took that trip. And
Their sister Abby?
Yes.
The one who goes to school at Texas State?
Yes.
An hour and a half from where you live?
So we don't see her as often because she works her way through college so that she can pay for her college without having student loans. So we took a trip. When we see her, we go to her restaurant to eat, or we see her maybe for dinner occasionally, but we took a family trip.
You took a family trip to Florida?
For 3 days, yes.
Well, for 5.
No, for 3 days, for Oliver to miss school for 3 days. But we were there for 3 days. That's what we did.
Okay, but I just want to confirm that wasn't Oliver's spring break, right?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Now, you also complained about Jason's choice and medical decisions and providing medical care for the boys, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall answering interrogatories in this case?
Would you tell me when I would have done that?
So do you recall being served with written discovery requests in this case where you would have answered questions and provided documents?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you remember being asked naming any health care providers for you and the children?
I was this for Oliver's heart surgery or?
Your Honor, may I share my screen?
Excuse me, you should still have access.
Okay, all right. Okay, Ms. Mcmillan, I'm showing you Rebecca Jo McMillan's responses to Jason Boyd's request for interrogatories. Have you ever seen this document? Signed by your attorney.
Okay, I'm sure then I have then.
Okay.
He gives me everything. Yeah,
So,
okay, yeah, I've seen.
On interrogatory number 7, it says, state the identity and location of all mental and physical health care providers whom you or your children have seen since January 1st, 2016, and the reasons for seeing each healthcare provider. So from July 2019 to present, you referenced Dr. Daryl Wolf, who appears to be a doctor out of Canada for health and wellness and digestion issues. Is he your doctor or is he the doctor of the children?
I saw him for a while. He was mine. He wasn't Oliver's.
Okay. Now, he is not a medical doctor, correct?
I don't understand the question.
Well, when I say medical doctor, I mean MD. So he does not have a degree from a medical school where.
No, he was a chiropractor.
Okay. And he's also a naturopath, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so what did you see him for?
I saw him for, he does some like body procedures that are kind of akin to deep tissue massage. It's really great for breaking up, breaking up tissue in the body that's become hard, and it causes health issues. So that's what I saw him for. And it helped with some digestion issues that I was having.
Okay. You believe and regularly seek out alternative medicine
I believe
for you,
that
correct?
they both have their values. I eat very healthy and I try to live a healthy lifestyle, but I also take my kids to the emergency room when they get hurt. I also believe I think that there's good to both. I'm not extreme in any way.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's already been entered is Respondents Exhibit number 17, which is a text message exchange between you and Jason. And it appears in reviewing this text message. Well, first of all, have you seen this text message exchange before?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall what it was about?
No, I mean, yeah, Oliver was sick.
Okay. And he had a fever of 102, right?
Okay.
Okay. And then Jason asked you if you gave him any medicine when he was with you during your previous period of possession, right?
Okay. Sure.
Is that a yes or no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And you sent back a photo of what's called Immune Avenger. Is that what you gave him?
Yes. That's
Okay.
what we use.
And that says Herb Farm on it. So is that an herbal remedy?
Yes.
Okay. And then you also tell him that you put him in the light for 5 minutes and gave him an immune booster kids tincture. Did you also treat your son with that?
That's what the picture is.
Okay. So when you say you put him in the light, that's the light we were talking about last time when we were here on March 25th, right?
No, Jason had a different light. We have a medical, it's from a doctor, like an MD, I guess if we're saying a difference, that is, it's about a $3,000 light. So it's different than the one Jason had bought for Oliver's heart.
Okay. Well, I believe you and your daughter Abby testified about the fact that you had that possession of that light, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you use it on your children, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So do you believe in having your children vaccinated?
The boys are not vaccinated. That was a decision that Jason and I made together. And they haven't been, because I haven't done anything since we've split to cause any kinds of issues. I believe that there are some that are good for children, and I believe that they should be spread out more than they are these days. My daughter was vaccinated as a child, and then we stopped when she started having some health issues, as was a niece of ours that started having some health issues around the same time because of the same vaccination.
What do you base your belief on that they should take certain vaccinations and not others?
A doctor that we took Oliver to see during all of his heart issues, one of the doctors that we spoke to us about that.
A medical doctor.
A medical doctor. Yes, sir.
Okay. And then what is your belief do you believe that vaccinations can cause harm to children?
I do.
Okay. And without telling me what anybody said, what is that belief based on?
Science.
Your own research?
Research, yes. Science.
Okay. All right. Do you have a college degree?
No.
Okay.
I have an associate's degree. I don't know if that's considered a bachelor's degree, but I mean, it is college.
Now have you gotten the COVID vaccine?
Not yet.
Okay. Do you plan on getting it?
I am still deciding. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to research enough to figure out if I need to.
Okay. Now, your mother, her name is Judy, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and is she a certified health practitioner?
she is.
Okay, and is that the same thing? Is that the same thing that Jason is?
No, she was a surgeon's first assistant when I was a child. She did
Rebecca, I'm
surgery.
gonna stop you right there. What is a certified health practitioner?
Oh, that is something that my mom used to work for a doctor, and she has since passed away. And my mom got certified with the doctor that I was seeing, Dr. Daryl Wolf, to do the procedures of the deep tissue that he was working on with me. So my mom got certified to do that work. So that's what she's certified in.
And that certificate is based in holistic nutrition and medication, correct?
I don't know what it's based in.
Okay.
I'm not really sure about her credentials or anything. I don't really know about that.
Okay. Do you drink, Ms. McMillan?
No,
Okay. Do you do drugs?
no.
Okay. Who is Jonathan Mitchell?
Jonathan Mitchell was a friend of mine about 3 years ago after Jason and I separated.
Okay. And he was someone you were interested in romantically, correct?
Yes, sir. We dated for a few months. He introduced me to some counseling, and then we dated for a few months.
Okay. So regarding the Chevy Suburban that was discussed last time we were here, you were driving that when this divorce began, correct?
I wasn't driving it when we separated, no.
Well, at some point during the course of the case, you took possession of that Suburban, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then within the last year, you returned that Suburban to Jason and purchased a vehicle. Is that correct?
I believe that happened in December of 2019 was
Okay.
when I bought my own car and gave him the other one back.
And what was the reason that you returned the Suburban?
Well, when he had given it to me, it would break down, about once a month. It was already a 2002 back in, 2019. So it was really old. The tail light was falling out. The engine was bad. So I kept having to put it in the shop. The electrical wiring went haywire. So I just decided that, and he kept using it against me, telling me that he had given me a car and it was not a reliable car. So I just bought my own vehicle and gave him that one back because it wasn't any good.
You returned it to him in pretty poor shape, correct?
He gave it to me in pretty poor shape. So I had spent a lot of money to try and get it fixed. And then they told me that it was just pretty much unfixable at that point.
Okay. Do you think it's worth anything then if the way you returned it?
I don't know. I know that I had a 1990 something Volvo that we got $500 for. So I know that old cars.
So it's probably worth a de minimis amount, is what you're saying. Very, very little.
Well, the mechanic told me that it wasn't worth much to keep putting money into it when I kept putting money into it, but I didn't have any other options at that point until I saved up enough money to buy my own car anyway. So.
Okay. I will pass the witness.
McGuire?
Hi, Ms. McMillan.
Hi.
Briefly, do you have any plans to move out of Bandera County?
No, sir.
All right. And I mean, I think the evidence bears this out, but it's true, is it not, that the boys have pretty much, their roots are right there in Bandera?
My grandparents live here. My mom lives here. We've been here a while. Yeah. At one point, I was needing to find a job. So I thought it's such a small town, there aren't many jobs. This was after our separation. I wasn't working. So I thought it would be nice to be able to move to a different town to get a job to, take care of my children. But I realized very quickly that that wasn't going to be feasible. So I never have looked anywhere. I've never pursued that possibility because I know I can't. So.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Eckes?
Right, Judge. Becca,
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, Judge. I said redirect.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Becca, with respect to the house that Mr. Boyd lives in, what were the improvements that were made on that property while you were married to him?
We spent a lot of time and money building a front garden. We landscaped the entire front yard and put in a lot of garden beds and a big fence. We remodeled the back room, the back dining room area, which is the room that we made into a room for Abby, which is now a room for the boys. To make it livable. It was pretty trashed when I moved in. We also built a new bathroom sink together. We cleared out the back part of the property to put in an animal pen and cleaned up the chicken coop that was there. So a lot of upgrades and maintenance stuff that we worked on. Mostly.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you.
Sorry. Mostly the work that I did was mostly landscaping.
Let me stop you real quick. The court did not pick up probably the last minute of testimony. Your screen froze and we lost everything on this end.
Okay.
I can go through it quickly if you want, Becca. You had mentioned that the improvements that were made to the house that Mr. Boyd lives in is that you had built a front garden, you had done some landscaping, you had built a fence, you had remodeled the room that the boys now stay in, you had built a bathroom sink, and you had cleared out the back and cleaned the chicken coop. Is that everything?
Yes, sir.
Did those improvements add value to the home?
I would imagine so, based off of what I understand of real estate.
Do you have any idea how much value it added to the home?
Never mind.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, I don't know a value. I know what time and money we put into it, but
What's the estimate of the money that you put into it?
I would say because I am a landscaper now, I would say that it would be about a $10,000 job for all the work that we did.
You're also asking the court to order that Mr. Boyd reimburse you for an AT&T bill. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember what the amount of that AT&T bill was?
It added up to $138 and some change. I don't know.
I'm going to show you Petitioners Exhibit 17 if I can. You see Petitioners Exhibit 17, Becca?
Yes, sir.
And is this a text exchange between you and Mr. Boyd?
Yes.
And when that says March 2nd, do you know what year that was?
That was in, oh goodness. Oh, well, 2020.
Okay, so over a year ago, you presented this bill to Mr. Boyd, and has he ever paid you back for that?
No, sir.
And this is a letter from a credit reporting company, I presume?
Yes.
So this is affecting your credit, but not his credit. Is that fair for me to take away?
Yes, sir.
While I'm sharing my screen, I might as well show you Petitioners Exhibit 18. Is this a photograph?
Yeah.
And who do we see in that picture?
That is Oliver standing on the right and Elliot in the middle and myself.
And you guys are baking Christmas cookies?
We were.
Okay. Is this, how long ago was this picture taken?
This was this year.
This was
This
5
one
months
passed.
ago?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is what the boys look like more or less as we sit here today, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to calculate what it is that Mr. Boyd owes you in terms of spousal support?
So the last payment I received was from current, he was current as of March 2020. So as of now, it would be, I believe, $2,600.
You asking the court to award you that as a judgment, $2,600?
Yes, sir.
Now let's talk a little bit about your trip to Florida. What kind of preparations did you make with the school to have the trip to Florida?
I talked to his teacher and I told her that we were going to be taking the trip so that she would know that he was going to be absent. I called the front desk and I told them as well, you're supposed to let them know ahead of time if there's going to be any absences. It's just easier for them.
Did he fall behind on any schoolwork as a result of that trip to Florida?
No, he very quickly made it up and it hasn't been an issue.
Does he fall behind on schoolwork when he stays with Mr. Boyd?
I'm not sure. I think that that's something that they do together. He did when we were online schooling. He fell behind a lot then, but now that he's in school, I think he has a lot more opportunities to maybe skip a period of, PE or they call it specials, art or music, so that he can make up work if he needs to.
All right, and going back to the trip to Florida, what did you guys do in Florida?
So my brother was out there and my mom had been out there for about a week prior and she was turning 61. Oliver's never been able to fly because of his heart condition. And so I thought it would be a nice opportunity, since Abby had a vacation, to go celebrate my mom's birthday with my brother and my kids. And so we just spent time together.
Did you guys go to the beach? Did you spend time inland? What kind of things did y'all do?
We went to the beach for 2 days. One of the days it rained the whole day, so we just hung out at the house.
And you mentioned briefly that you and Mr. Boyd had discussed that trip. What do you mean by discuss the trip?
Well, after I told the boys about it, they told their dad. And so he knew that we were going on a trip. He never said that he didn't agree. He never said that it was an issue. Whenever he dropped the boys off that Friday before, he hugged them and he told them to have fun. And so it was never an issue, a problem at all.
You overheard him talk to the boys about their upcoming trip to Florida?
Yeah, as they were hugging, they were talking about it when we were leaving.
Did he have any apprehension about the boys flying on a plane or anything like that?
Nothing that he ever said to me.
Pass the witness.
I have no further questions, Judge.
McGuire,
Nothing further, Your Honor.
additional witnesses?
Judge, this time we rest.
All right, I have, looks like in the waiting room, Dr. Todd Boyd and Rob McKinley from LT Systems, whatever that is.
Those are two of my witnesses, Judge.
Okay. And if y'all would, please bear in mind, we have an hour and a half to finish, so.
Your Honor, at this time, I'll call Jason Boyd.
Mr. Boyd, please raise your right hand. In the matter before the court, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? We can't hear you, Mr. Boyd, you're muted.
There we are. I do.
Okay. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Jason. Can you briefly describe to the court your relationship with your sons?
We have a really good relationship. We are always on the go, always doing stuff together. We're really, really close. The boys, Oliver especially, he and I have a lot of really good discussions about things. He can come to me with all his problems. He knows that I'm going to hear him, listen to him, offer him up good advice. It just seems like we're always laughing, wrestling, just kind of doing dude stuff.
Okay. Your Honor, may I share my screen?
You may.
Jason, I'm showing you what's already been entered into the record as Petitioners Exhibit 1. And just quickly, is this a series of photos of you and the children?
Yes.
Okay. And on this first page, it looks here on the bottom right, it appears that you are involved in soccer with the boys, or at least one of them. What do you do for soccer?
So I've coached Oliver in his soccer since he started at 4 years old. So he's 9 now. So for 5 years, I've been coaching him. Elliot just got started in soccer this season, and so I'm coaching his team as well. And then in addition, I kind of pick up other teams because sometimes they're short on coaches and parent volunteers. So I help coach.
Okay. And do the boys enjoy having you as their coach?
They love it. We're always playing soccer out here.
Now, on this top right-hand corner, what are you guys doing?
We're sleeping in a tent. So they really like to do a lot of adventure stuff, as do I. And so I had got a tent at one time. In fact, we've always had a tent, it seems like, ever since just before Elliot was born, or right after. And we would just sleep outside at night in the tent.
Do they enjoy doing outdoor stuff?
Oh, they love it. Absolutely. Yeah, we're always doing something. Skateboarding, roller skating, bicycling, going to the river, working outside in the garden. Yeah.
Okay. So would you say that you're bonded with the boys?
Very much so.
Okay. So last year, what grade was Oliver in?
2nd grade.
And so when the schools were closed down for COVID, how did you and Rebecca juggle taking care of the kids when they were home doing virtual learning?
So when he was here doing virtual learning at my house, he would set up and do his work. I would either be going back and forth doing stuff with Elliot to keep him occupied while Oliver's doing his work, or I'd go back with Oliver to help him do his work. So I just kind of go back and forth until he was finished.
Okay. And did Oliver ever fall behind because when he was with you?
No, Oliver was having some issues with his reading comprehension. So I could see, because I was looking at his grades, and in reading, he wasn't doing well. He wasn't doing well in math either. And so I would sit with him during the lessons and listen to what was being discussed and listen to the assignments. And then I would sit with him while he would do his assignments. And then I would look at his homework, and I would see that what he was getting wrong in his reading homework was his comprehension. He's an excellent reader. He reads way above his grade level, but he would read too fast because he just wants to move on to the next thing or be done with school. And so I could see that his reading comprehension wasn't up to par. And so I would work with him on that, trying to get him to slow down and really think about what it was that he was reading. And then we implemented some other things to kind of help encourage him to read more.
Does he have any learning disabilities that have been diagnosed?
No.
Okay. And where's his reading comprehension today?
So he's in 3rd grade now. He's reading on about a 5th grade level. When he first went into school after homeschooling with me in 1st grade, he was reading on a 4th grade level, actually.
Okay. So no concerns about his reading comprehension where we're at today.
Not at all. And in fact, one of the things that we did to kind of help him with his reading comprehension, just to get him to slow down, is we kind of implemented this idea of doing some book reports on his own time. And so what we would do is we'd give him books he would get to choose a book, and then he would read it, and then he would present a book report. And we made up a little worksheet that had some questions that he'd have to answer to show that he understood what he read, understood the characters, understood what the whole thing was about. There would be points for spelling, for sentence structure, for grammar, and then he would present it orally, and then we would ask him questions that he would have to answer. And if he did well and showed that he understood everything, and then he would get a reward for it.
Okay. Now you're asking the court to name you the conservator with the exclusive right to make educational decisions. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at one point you were homeschooling Oliver, but he is now attending public school. Do you have a preference in how you would like Oliver and his brother to attend school?
I'm a huge fan of homeschooling, for sure. However, he's also doing really well in public school. And so he's a pretty social creature. He enjoys his friends. He enjoys being out. And so, I've decided that since he's doing so well in school, in public school, I think he should stay in public school. And then if there's anything else that, I want to teach him, I can do that on my own time.
Okay. So you're happy with where he's at socially, and that's had a positive impact on him?
Absolutely.
Okay. What concerns you about Becca and her school decision-making?
Well, I'm concerned about her lying about the absences. That's a pretty significant deal.
Okay. Is she telling the truth when she says?
I'm going to object to that answer as non-responsive to the question.
You want to re-ask your question, Mr. Arlen?
Yes, Your Honor. Was Miss Mcmillan telling the truth when she said you were responsible for a large number of absences from school for Oliver?
No.
Okay. Over the last 2 years, how many days has Oliver missed school when he's been in your possession?
Well, I know that in the last year that they had referenced where he had 15 absences, and they tried to pin them all on me. In fact, I had entered into evidence the actual dates. So Becca didn't even know anything about his attendance record. She knew nothing about it. I was the one that found out about it because I was concerned, because Oliver had been making a fuss about going to school. He didn't want to go. And so he would often throw tantrums about it, and it would often make us late. And I would just tell him, buddy, you have to go to school. This is, you can't just stay home. We have to go to school. So we would, he would eventually get ready and load up, and we would go. And so, this had happened a few times. And so I was concerned. And so I spoke with the people at the front. I spoke with the attendance counselor, and they knew that there was a divorce going on. And I wanted to make sure that they were on board with everything that was happening so that they could help keep an eye out too. And I asked the attendance counselor, I said, look, I know he's been absent here for some of this stuff. I'm concerned about it. And so we sat down, and she pulled up all of his absences and tardies, and we looked at the dates. And in fact, at that particular moment in time, and it was, I believe, November or December, as I looked through the dates and checked against possession, I had 8 and she had 6. So it wasn't this idea that I had all these massive amounts of absences because I was being irresponsible. And in fact, going through our text messages, you can also validate when he was sick with me, he was actually sick because I would discuss it with her. Oftentimes.
Let me interrupt you. I'm sorry, Jason. So the 8 absences that he had with you last year, were they all excused?
Yes.
Okay. What were they? Because he was sick?
Yes, he was sick. There was only one where we, during our travel plans of Thanksgiving that year, we came home on a Monday and he missed that Monday, but I talked to the school about it and it was excused.
Okay. So none of the unexcused absences that were on that report card that is entered into evidence were because of you. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when the boys are with you during your weekly periods of possession, is there a schedule when Oliver gets home from school?
It depends on the day. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have soccer practice. So they come home and he just kind of gets to relax and do whatever before soccer. Otherwise, we're usually, I give him time to just kind of relax if he doesn't have any homework. And then we'll usually go for a bike ride or go play some soccer out in the backyard or do something.
If he has homework, when is that done?
Immediately.
Okay. Is there an area in your home for him to sit down and focus on his homework?
He has a desk in his own room.
Okay. When the kids are with you, do you cook dinner for them?
Every night.
Okay.
Almost every night. Sometimes we go out to eat.
Okay. And you're a pretty healthy eater, right?
Yes.
Do they eat what you eat?
Yes.
Okay. And do they enjoy it?
Yes.
Okay. After this, I'm going to need to get some tips from you. So what time do the boys go to bed?
We try to start wrapping things up around 8:30, and then they brush their teeth and, we get in bed, we'll read stories or something, watch a video. So by 9 o'clock.
Okay. And is that consistent every day?
It's consistent. I will say that oftentimes as we're laying there in bed, things start to get a little silly and they want to wrestle. They want to be, they want to be boys. But yeah, we're in bed every night by then.
Okay. Do the kids have a dentist?
Oliver has been to the dentist, and I would prefer to take Elliot to that same dentist. Yeah.
Okay. And what is that dentist's name?
Dr. Ochoa.
Okay. And who schedules appointments for Oliver to see Dr. Ochoa?
I have.
Okay. And who takes Oliver to see Dr. Ochoa for those appointments?
I've taken Oliver to every single appointment, every dental appointment, every doctor's appointment, with the exception of, I can think of one dental appointment right before surgery.
Okay. Now, so let's talk about Oliver's surgery. He had heart surgery in November of last year, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that was because he had one hole or two holes in his heart?
He had 2 holes, and then we found out later that he started forming extra chambers in his heart as a result of it being a little bit harder.
Okay. And why wasn't this surgery done sooner on Oliver?
Because, so the first time we went to the cardiologist, they had said there's a possibility they can close up. They also made some statement that, he could be dead soon. But they said, realistically speaking, he could go on for a very long time. This isn't a thing that needs to happen immediately. The second cardiologist, he also said, well, I guess we can wait around and see.
Object to hearsay. Object to hearsay.
You understand you can't quote what somebody else has told you?
I guess so. I just thought he was asking me what the cardiologist said.
Jason, I'll rephrase my question. Was there based on your understanding, was there a danger to Oliver's health in waiting until November of last year to have that surgery?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And who coordinated with the cardiologist to schedule the surgery?
I did.
Okay. And who scheduled appointments with the cardiologist prior to surgery?
I did.
And who scheduled the surgery?
I did.
Okay. Did you discuss these things with Rebecca?
I discussed everything with her before I made a single decision.
Okay. And would she provide her opinion on, these appointments in the surgery?
Given her history of blaming me for everything, I always sought out her opinion before I ever offered my opinion.
Okay. And was she on board with the surgery?
Oftentimes her replies would be somewhere along the lines of, well, I guess we just got to do whatever we got to do. Or she would ask me what I would do. But yeah, she was on board.
Okay. And was there a dental issue with Oliver that had to be addressed prior to the heart surgery?
So part of his issues was that he had poor enamel on his teeth. And so they were kind of eroding away. So they had to be fixed before we could do the heart surgery.
Okay. Your Honor, may I share my screen?
You may.
I'm showing you what's already been entered into evidence as Respondents Exhibit number 19, which I will represent to you as a text exchange between you and Rebecca. Is this an example of you coordinating with the dentist and then discussing with her the results of that conversation?
Yes,
Okay. And so this was September 1st. Is this September 1st of 2020?
yes,
And so was this in relation to Oliver's heart surgery?
correct.
Okay. And it appears she asked, have you heard from the dentist? Would you also agree with me? It appears that you're the one who's coordinating the appointments with Dr. Ochoa.
Yes, so Oliver had a regular dentist that I had been taking him to in San Antonio. And then on his last appointment with her, the appointment was scheduled for when Becca had boys. And so she took him to that appointment. And that dentist recommended that Oliver see a dental surgeon to have this work done all at once because it was more than what she could do. So Becca had come to me and basically dropped it in my lap and said, here's what he needs. And so then I had to go find the surgeon and find out who was going to do the work. I had to change over the insurance primary from that dentist to another dentist. I talked with UT Health Science Center and their program to do it. I talked with the hospital and their program to do it. I spoke with at least 5 or 6 different dental offices to find the correct one.
So is it the same story throughout the boy's life? Have you always been the primary medical decision maker?
I have always been the one that put in charge of it. After Oliver's first cardiology appointment, so we went to a naturopath in Pipe Creek, and we went to another doctor in San Antonio prior to the cardiologist. So he was about a year and a half old. And then after we found the holes in his heart, after the first cardiologist, Becca said, you have to do this on your own. I can't do it. It's too much for me. It's overwhelming. I'm scared. So I would have to make these appointments and take Oliver by myself and do it all. And then I would call her and let her know what was said, get her input, get her feedback. But,
did she know would you tell her when the appointments were?
Oh, absolutely.
So she could have attended.
Absolutely.
But she didn't?
No, she said she couldn't. She didn't want to. It was too much for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say then, well, you tell me, does Rebecca hesitate when it comes to making medical decisions for the kids?
That's been my experience, yes.
Okay. Do you know, has she ever told you why she does that?
She gets really nervous and flighty about these things. I remember an incident where her daughter stepped on a big splinter and Becca just starts laughing nervously because she couldn't handle it. And she passed it off to me that I had to pull this thing out. Or when her daughter was sick here at the house, I was the one in charge of taking care of her. She gets really nervous about those things and can't do it. And the thing is to this date, I have never, ever once made a single decision medically or otherwise for any of the children without consulting her first.
Okay. What if anything was the reason for doing Oliver's heart surgery in November?
So after that last appointment, when I had taken him in, as I got the results from the surgeon, I knew immediately it was time. Oliver hadn't been showing any issues. He was playing soccer. He had great energy, great appetite, slept well, great disposition. I mean, you would never know other than you could see his heart beating a little bit harder. But when I got the results from the cardiologist, I just said immediately, well, that's it. We're going to do the surgery. Let's just get it going before the cardiologist even finished speaking.
Okay. Answer this only if you know the question or the answer to the question, but do you know if it had been up to Rebecca solely, would she have had the surgery for Oliver in November, or would she have put it off?
I believe she would.
Okay. So let's talk about exchanges between you and the children. Where do exchanges take place when you guys start a period of possession or end one?
It used to be when we first started out, I would either bring them to her at her place or she would bring them to me at my place. And then after she showed up at my house one time and started a huge fight, I told her she was never allowed over at this house again to protect the boys and make this a safe place for them. So from there on out, we've been meeting in a park right down the street and make the exchange there in public.
Okay. When she would come to your house, what would her behavior be like?
Initially, there really wasn't much of an issue when we first started. Prior to our temporary orders hearing, prior to November of, I guess, 2018, there was never really issue with the drop-offs. It was after that when she just became really hostile and threatening.
What would she do?
Oh gosh, I've got hundreds of harassing texts where she's cussing me out, calling me names, accusing me of stuff. Phone calls where she screams at me. The boys can hear it. I just hang up. She would.
Has she ever said anything inappropriate to you in front of the boys?
She said some really inappropriate things in front of the boys. Yes.
Okay. What's one thing that stands out in your mind?
Well, she during that fight, when she came over to the house, she called my mom, their grandmother, a crazy bitch, and she was saying something about blowjobs, as well as, continuing to scream and accuse me of cheating and lying to the boys.
And she does this in front of the boys?
Yeah, she does.
Okay. Has she ever asked the boys to pick a side in your presence?
I don't know if she's directly asked them to pick a side, but I know that she has spoken to them and told them things that they should not have heard, as well as sharing with them evidence and text messages from this trial. She absolutely did. Yeah.
Has she ever blamed you for the breakup of the relationship in their presence? Yes.
She's told them that the whole reason we're divorcing is because Daddy and Regina cheated on Mommy.
Okay. And just so we're clear, your relationship with Regina, that was not the reason for the separation. Is that right?
Absolutely not. Maybe in her mind it was, but that is not the reason why we fell out.
Okay. Has Rebecca ever questioned your abilities as a parent in front of the boys?
Yeah, numerous times.
Okay. How so?
Just like she's done here today, and like she does online on Facebook, that I can't provide for my family. I can't take care of my family, that I'm too controlling, I'm domineering, I don't take school seriously. I mean, she's constantly undermining me in their presence.
Okay. Do you drink alcohol?
On very rare occasion, I do.
Okay. Do you use illegal drugs?
No.
Okay. Now, remind the court, what is it that you do for a living and what is your title?
I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner.
Okay. And when it comes to your children's health, if they need emergency care, what do you do?
So they've never needed emergency care under me. However, there is one instance, in fact, I believe it may have been in that string of text messages that you had presented earlier with Becca, when Oliver was sick a couple of years ago. And, he had a fever, 102, I believe. And I told her, I said, I can take him to the ER if you think that's necessary. But, at the time, it wasn't anything serious. He just had a fever. There was nothing, remarkably wrong. He wasn't exhibiting symptoms.
Well, hypothetically speaking, let's say that Oliver fell out of a tree and broke his arm. What would you do in that instance?
Of course, I would take him to the ER. I would do whatever is necessary to take care of them.
So then is Ms. Mcmillan correct in saying that you would ignore your children's health?
Yes.
In that type of situation?
Absolutely. It's another lie. I have a long history of writing about it. I think modern medicine is brilliant in acute cases and trauma cases. My son is a living example of that with his heart surgery. So I've always championed Western medicine in that regard.
But you use your knowledge and your profession to supplement it. Is that fair?
Yeah. We live a healthy lifestyle. We eat healthy. And, when you do those things, typically you don't need to go to the ER. You don't need pharmaceutical drugs. If they did, I would give them to him. I gave Oliver pharmaceutical drugs, during his heart surgery stuff.
Does prior to separation, did Miss Mcmillan drink alcohol?
Yes.
Okay. And would she drink to excess?
Yes.
Okay. How often would she drink?
she would drink quite often. She even drank when Oliver was pregnant. She had a little drink that she called swamp juice. It was green juice mixed with vodka. And she would laugh and drink, laugh about it when she was drinking it.
Well, what would she, I mean, would she drink on a daily basis?
No, we would drink when we would go out with friends or something, but yeah.
When she drank, would she drink to get drunk?
She would get drunk. Yes.
Every time she drank?
Typically, yes. I mean, there were times when we would drink with dinner or something, have wine, and we wouldn't, but it was never this thing where, I'd say for sure, neither one of us is an alcoholic. That's absurd. We would drink socially, and that's about it.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. I want to talk real quick about the property. I want to talk about this Suburban. How did she come into possession of the Suburban?
So the Suburban was a gift to me from my parents. They had bought another new Suburban, and so they gave it to me, so we would have a bigger car. And at the time, I had a Jeep, and so that wasn't going to be big enough for us. So when we were separating, I said, look, I would prefer you to have a Suburban. It's a nice car. It's clean. It works. It's big. It's safe. And I would feel better knowing that you and the boys are safe driving around in it. And so I took the time. I spent over 3 hours scrubbing that thing inside and out, detailing it to a T. It was in immaculate condition for 2002. There was a few paint strips, scrapes or whatever, but the thing ran great. It was in great condition and it was super clean.
So when you gave it to her, it was in good cosmetic condition?
Absolutely.
And was it in good mechanical condition?
Yes.
And how did you receive it back?
I received it back. It was trashed. It had, I think it's a spare tire. It's missing hubcaps. There's huge chunks of paint. There's mold and mildew in there because she used it for a landscaping business and just spilled dirt and water everywhere. It stinks. I mean, it is a piece of junk right now. And she just decided on Mother's Day of 2019, 2020 to load up all of her kids and come to my house and just dump off the car because she no longer needed it.
Okay. And when you gave it to her, well, what year is the Suburban?
It was 2002.
Okay. And how many miles did it have on it?
I don't remember. I'm sure it had over 100,000, but.
And what did it, was it paid for?
Yeah, it was paid for.
And what do you believe the value of it was when you returned it to her, or when you provided it to her to use?
As well as it was running, I imagine I could easily get between $500 and $7,500 for it. When it was in her possession, in fact, she had told me in a text that rats or squirrels or something had gotten in there and had eaten up the wiring and created some kind of electrical drain that she couldn't find, or the mechanics couldn't find it. It was going to cost too much to find it. And so that's why the car is in poor running condition, is because it happened when she had possession of the car and she didn't take care of it.
Is it running right now? Does it run?
No, she dumped it off in the house and it's still sitting right where she left it.
Okay. What do you think its value is today?
I would be happy to get $1,000 for it right now.
Okay. And that was a gift from your parents?
Yeah.
In what year?
2016, I believe. It was right before Elliot was born, because that was part of the reason for giving it, because we were adding another person.
Okay. And given the condition that it was given to her and the condition you received back, do you think she should be ordered to reimburse you for the loss in value of the vehicle?
Yeah, I mean, I gave it to her in good faith, and then the court awarded it to her. And then, like I said, she just decided to dump it off. She didn't need it anymore. So yeah, I don't think that's right.
Okay. All right. And when we were here last, Miss Mcmillan talked about a refrigerator, TV, couch, chair, and desk that are in your home that I believe she testified were hers. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Are those items in fact hers?
No.
Okay. Does she have any personal property left in that home?
No, when she and her daughter left, they left probably 75% of their stuff. here in the back barns, in the house, clothes, Abby's room. They just left all their stuff, including trash. And so it was up to me to pack up all their stuff nice and neat. I took pictures of all of it to prove, just in case. And I loaded it up and I delivered it to her and put it undercover in a safe spot while she watched. I videotaped the whole thing just to make sure. And as far as that, everything else in this house, with the exception of, I think, 4 pieces of furniture maybe, that we had bought together, everything else was mine prior to meeting. The sofa was a gift to me. It was a birthday gift from my sister and my brother-in-law. The TV was a gift from my sister and brother-in-law. And the TV is worthless. Oliver had broken our big flat screen TV by trying to clean it. And they had this little free small flat screen TV they gave. So we hardly watch TV, so it doesn't really matter. It's no value.
So since this divorce is pending, which is now, I believe, over 2 years, she has removed anything and everything that you believe she wanted?
As far as I know, there's nothing else here of hers. I've even dug up plants for her so that she could have plants from here that she would use in her business and make money off of.
Okay, well, let's talk about improvements that she's testifying about on the home. Did you guys make any improvements to the home once you were married?
So, we built a garden out of old cedar posts that I had. So it didn't cost any money. And then a little bit later, we tore that down and I built another big rock garden that I used. I collected all the rock from my parents' ranch. So it didn't cost any money. I did the work myself. So this idea that there's $10,000 worth of improvements is laughable. I mean, I wasn't charging my time and labor. She wasn't charging her time and labor. And no way did we spend $10,000 in material. Virtually all of it was stuff that we had collected and gathered. Plants, most of the plants came from my restaurant. Some we did buy. Some we had, the place where I would go buy plants for my restaurant, they would give you these bucks. So however many dollars you spent, they would give you free dollars or whatever. And so a lot of our plants for here were bought that way. This sink that she's talking about, it was an old sink that I had in the back since I moved into this place. And it was old lumber and pipe that I had. So, there was no money spent on any of it. And it was just a thing I built and I put in.
Okay. Now, you do admit that you have not paid her a certain amount of spousal maintenance. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And what months have you not paid her for spousal maintenance?
It went up to June of 2020.
Okay. So from July 2020 to present, you haven't paid?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So, Jason, are you asking the court to name you the conservator with the exclusive right to determine the primary residence of your boys in Bandera County?
Yes.
Okay. And do you believe that's in their best interest?
Absolutely.
Okay. Are you asking the court to continue the current possession and access schedule, which is a week on, week off schedule?
Yes.
Okay. And is that in the boys' best interest?
I believe it is. I'm conflicted in some regards, but overall, yes, I believe that is in their best interest based on their relationships with us.
And should Ms. Mcmillan be ordered to pay guideline child support for support of the children?
I'm not interested in her child support, no.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Boyd, you said a couple things that I have questions about. One being about these book reports. You said we make him do book reports. Who's we?
Dr. Vanberg and I.
Regina Vanberg, the woman that you cheated on your wife with, is making your son do book reports?
Is that a question or an accusation?
That's a question. That's a question. Do you think it's appropriate for your paramour to be giving the son of your current wife homework assignments?
Counselor, she is not the woman I cheated on. So that part of your statement is false. But the other part, Dr. Vanberg and I, yes, she's very big on education and her and Oliver have bonded really well over it.
But she's your paramour, right?
She's my partner, sure.
She's your girlfriend, isn't she? You're having sex with her, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's appropriate while you are married to the mother of your children to bring another woman around your children and have her give them homework assignments?
It's as appropriate as her bringing the boys around with her sex partner.
It's a yes or no question. Do you think it's appropriate for your girlfriend, who you are, when you are currently married, for your girlfriend to be educating somebody else's children?
I absolutely think it's appropriate. Sure.
Okay.
She's a doctor and she's very well educated.
She's
And
not a medical doctor, is she?
She's a psychologist.
Is she Oliver's treating psychologist?
No, that wouldn't be appropriate. She's a psychologist and she has several degrees, master's degrees in history and science as well. So she loves education and she and Oliver bond over that, among other things.
Is she an educator?
Like a school educator?
Any kind of educator?
I mean, she does teaching, yeah.
She does teaching does she teach classes at a college or at a high school or at an elementary school?
She taught up at Shriner University, yes, she did.
Let's talk about Dr. Ochoa, the dentist. Who located Dr. Ochoa, the dentist, for the kids?
The dentist that recommended that I had been taking the boys to, she had given a couple of names. So she was one of the few that I called.
Isn't it true that Becca found Dr. Ochoa?
No.
Isn't it true that you both coordinated appointments with Dr. Ochoa?
No, that's also a lie.
Isn't it true that you both took the boys to the appointments with Dr. Ochoa?
I took the boys. Elliot showed up so that Becca showed up so she could watch Elliot because he wasn't allowed in there.
You said that Becca hesitates making medical decisions. Is that true?
Yes.
Don't you agree with me that if it were up to Becca, that heart surgery would have happened much sooner than it happened?
No, I don't agree.
Do you remember when Becca took Oliver to the emergency room for his knee?
I do.
Do you remember that you were opposed to him going to the emergency room for that injury?
No, she lied about that. I was never opposed.
It seems that according to your testimony, Becca is lying a lot, right?
Just about everything she's put in her discovery and that she's testified, she and her daughter both have lied a tremendous amount. Absolutely.
You testified, you said a minute ago that she had accused you of cheating on her in front of the boys, right?
Yes.
And you denied just a moment ago in my questions that you had in fact cheated on her, other than you began this romantic relationship after the separation, right? That you admit to.
Correct. We never cheated. Our relationship didn't start until after we were separated.
Becca suspected that you were cheating with Regina. Isn't that true?
Becca's always suspected something. She's incredibly jealous.
Well, but my question is that she suspected that you and Regina were having an affair before she and Abby moved out.
No, she didn't. All of that came about much later, after we were separated. In fact, I had text messages entered into evidence when she left. The very next day, Becca texted me and said, "My story for leaving is not going to include Regina." She essentially knew that what she came home and said to her daughter was a lie, and her daughter went out of control, and she knew it.
But my point is that Regina plays this role on the day that Becca and Abby move out of your house, right? Whether it's that she suspected that you were cheating with Regina or that she said that she suspected you were cheating with Regina. Regina was a character in this story at the time that Abby and Becca moved out of your house, right?
Only in Becca's mind. Other than that, no.
Well, and that's what I mean. I don't mean in reality. I mean that Becca suspected that there was something going on between you and Regina on the day that she moved out.
As Becca testified, yeah, she peeked in and saw us rolling silverware, and there were a number of people around. And in her mind, that justified cheating. But we were just doing our standard work that we do every single night that we would work there.
I understand. And you were in fact in close proximity with Regina at that time. Is that true?
Well, we were rolling silverware and doing our duties. I was in close proximity to 2 waitresses and boyfriends and my sister and other customers there.
And now you are in a romantic and sexual relationship with Regina, right?
Now I am, yes.
Do you think that, is it just poor judgment on your part, or is Becca clairvoyant that her suspicions have been confirmed?
Objection asked and answered.
Goes to the credibility of the witness.
May I answer the question?
Can you repeat it?
Yeah, my question is was she just clairvoyant, or is this poor judgment on your part that you end up in a relationship with the exact person that she suspected you were cheating on her with?
It's neither.
It's a pure coincidence is what you want Judge Emerson to believe?
It was a decision we made afterwards. It has nothing to do with clairvoyance. It has nothing to do with poor judgment.
So as 2 responsible adults, one of whom is a psychologist, you 2 sat down together, looked at all of the facts that you had before you, including the fact that you're going through a divorce, the fact that your soon-to-be ex-wife suspected that you were cheating on her with this person, and nevertheless decided to proceed into a romantic and sexual relationship is what you want us to believe.
Dr. Vanberg and I never had a single bit of contact outside of work. She would work there occasionally, not every single night, not every single weekend. Sometimes she went 3 months with never showing up. We never had one single phone conversation, one single text message, never any contact one time outside of that work environment until after we split up, and Becca contacted Regina's husband at the time and told him that we had been cheating the entire time they were married and that Regina was using him for his money. She did that to Regina's husband at the time. And they had already had their issues, and then they had split up. And so she and I had got to talking after that, and we started dating a little while later.
All right. You said that Becca didn't take care of the Suburban.
No,
Do you remember when, give or take, she parked it at your house?
it was Mother's Day,
Of what year?
2019 or 20. I forget which one it was. I guess it was, yeah, it was one of those.
Do you think it was 1 year or 2 years?
I would have to look back at the text messages. I would say it was last year, I guess.
Okay, and it's almost Mother's Day 2021, right?
Yes.
When did we go to mediation at the Hill Country Dispute Resolution Center? That was not during the pandemic, was it?
No, I believe it was January of 2020. I'm not sure. No, I'm sorry. It was November or December because I had gotten them on Christmas break.
Okay, so does it help refresh your memory if I tell you that Becca was already driving that Nissan at the time that we had mediation a year and a half ago?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Does it help refresh your memory of how long that Suburban has been parked there if I tell you that Becca already had that Nissan a year and a half ago?
Okay. I mean, I'm not disputing whether it's 2019 or 20. I don't, again, I have it in the text message when she said it. So
Will you agree with me that that car has been parked there for 2 years?
I can't answer that. As I've said, I would have to look and see the date of the text message when she said she's dropping it off.
But you testified the car has not moved since she parked it, right?
Correct.
Do you start it regularly?
No, it's the car was awarded to her by the judge, by the court. That is not my vehicle. I'm not touching it. I'm not going into it. It is sat there to wait and see what we do here with it.
All right. And you admit that you don't pay the court-ordered spousal support, right?
Since the pandemic started, I had not been able to, between that and between all of her libelous statements she had been making on Facebook and around town about me.
That's affected your business?
Absolutely, it has.
And your testimony is the Suburban was a gift?
Yes.
The TV was a gift?
Yes.
The couch was a gift?
Yes.
You shouldn't have to pay her child support, right?
If we have joint custody, no.
And Becca's lying, right?
Absolutely.
And Abby's lying, right?
I've entered in tons of evidence that shows that they are lying. Yes.
But you're telling the truth, right?
I am telling the truth to the best of my abilities. Yes.
Pass the witness.
McGuire?
No questions, Your Honor.
Brief redirect, Your Honor.
You may.
Mr. Boyd, you retained my services in 2020, is that right?
Yes.
And that was after Bobby Falkenberg was named an associate judge in Medina County, right?
Yes.
Okay. Has the Suburban incident happened since you retained me?
Yes.
Okay, so then we can narrow it down that she dropped that Suburban off in Mother's Day 2020?
As again, is that if that's what the dates show, then yes. This
Well,
whole thing has been dragged out, and sorry, it's a whirlwind of dates to remember everything. That's why I save every text message, because it shows exactly who has said what, done what.
Pass the witness.
Nothing further, Judge.
Okay, call your next witness. Y'all have about 40 minutes left.
Your Honor, I'll call Dr. Todd Boyd.
Dr. Boyd, can you hear us? If you would, please unmute.
There we go. Now can you
Okay.
hear me?
I can. Will you please raise your right hand? In the matter before the court, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. And can you please give your full name to the court reporter?
Dr. Todd Boyd.
Thank you. May proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Dr. Boyd. My name is Michael Ireland. I'm your brother's attorney. You are Jason's brother, is that right?
Correct.
Older or younger?
Older brother.
Okay. And where do you live?
I live in Mint Hill, North Carolina.
Okay. And what kind of doctor are you?
I am a board certified chiropractic orthopedist.
And how long have you been practicing as a chiropractor?
26 years.
Okay. And what kind of relationship do you have with your brother?
Good relationship. I mean, is that how you're asking the question, or?
Well, I'm just asking you what kind of relationship you have with him.
Oh, I mean, it's a good relationship. I mean, we were separated by distance. I wish we were closer, but we're not physically close, but brotherly close, I guess we are. Yeah.
Okay. And do you know Oliver and Elliot?
I do.
Okay. And have you ever had the occasion to see your brother with his children?
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of father would you describe your brother as?
I've told Jason this many times. I think he is an amazing father.
Okay. And what have you witnessed, or what do you know that leads you to that conclusion?
I've never seen him upset or angry with the boys. I am constantly enamored with the way he is always just doing something. He's constantly trying to teach them and educate them and let them experience life and the great outdoors and everything. It was so unlike the upbringing that we had growing up. I wish our dad would have been there for us in the same way that Jason is there for his kids.
Okay. How often do you get to see Oliver and Elliot and Jason?
Not very often. Being that I live so far away, it's been a while since I've seen Oliver. I did get to meet Elliot for the first time here about, I guess a couple months ago or a month or so ago. I was down visiting a friend of mine whose father had passed away, and I was consoling him. And I got to meet up with Jason, and Oliver wasn't available, but I did get to meet Elliot for the first time. It's because I haven't been back in Texas in so long.
Okay. And what was Elliot like when you got to meet him?
He's a very cute kid. We seem to bond pretty instantly, and he's just funny. You know, he's got a great sense of humor and very inquisitive, and you know, we hung out a little bit, and I think we got some tacos and hung out there at the house a little bit and visited. But I mean, he's a great little boy. I wish I could spend more time with him.
Was he well behaved?
Oh, absolutely.
And do you know Rebecca?
I do.
Okay. And how well do you know Rebecca?
I mean, I know her, I guess, fairly well, but I mean, it's not like we've spent a whole lot of time together or anything like that.
During the course of their marriage, did you ever spend time around Rebecca and Jason?
Yes.
Okay. And what was she like towards Jason?
I mean, at that time, I'm not aware of them having any issues or anything. They seem to get along fine, and I mean, I never saw any problems or issues or anything like that. But it's probably been, let's see, I've lived here in North Carolina for almost 8 years. Actually, I want to say maybe the last time I saw him or saw Rebecca was at my dad's 70th birthday party, which was about 6 years ago. So at that time, you know, it was a birthday party type of event. There wasn't anything negative going on or anything like that that I'm aware of.
Are you aware of any violence between them?
Of what I've heard.
Okay. Well, I don't want to. Well, unless you've heard it from. Have you heard anything from Rebecca about?
No. I haven't spoken with Rebecca at all.
Okay. All right. Are you familiar with what your brother does for a living?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you know about it?
As far as I apologize if there's birds and dogs. I'm out here on the front porch. As far as him being a functional medicine practitioner, or
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, I'm actually taking classes for that as well right now. So, in fact, being around Jason and consulting with Jason, you know, I've been a chiropractor for 26 years, and I'm board certified in orthopedics. I see a lot of really difficult cases in my line of work, and it was through just consulting with Jason and hearing the things that he's had to say and the things that he's learned through his functional medicine program that it's really actually inspired me to want to go through the same program. So I'm currently doing that right now. I'm going through the functional medicine program through Functional Medicine University.
Okay. Does your brother thumb his nose at Western medicine?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think there is a time and a place for surgery. There's a time and a place for medication. There's a time and a place for chiropractic and everything. I think the key to being a good practitioner in anything is you got to know what time it is. And I think that medications are, you know, can be deemed as being overused. But as far as him thumbing his nose, I wouldn't say that. I mean, he was, you know, I believe Oliver, he just had heart surgery here recently and repaired the hole in his heart. I think Jason's very thankful for that.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Dr. Boyd, thank you for being here. You just met Elliot a few weeks ago, is that true?
Yes.
Who facilitated that meeting between you and Elliot?
I guess I did. Well, Jason didn't know that I was coming in town. And so I called him and I said, hey, I've got a little bit of time. I'd really like to see you and the boys. And he said, well, I don't have the boys today. And he said, let me call Rebecca and see if she'd be willing to bring the boys up. And Oliver I forgot where Oliver was. He wasn't available, but Rebecca was kind enough to meet us up at the park, and she dropped Elliot off. So,
Pass witness.
Mr. McGuire?
No questions, Your Honor.
No further questions, Judge.
May Dr. Boyd be released?
Yes.
Thank you. You're free to leave.
oh, okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, I would call JT Trombley.
I'm here.
Trombley, can you please raise your right hand? In the matter before the court, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Can you please give your full name to court reporter?
Jeremiah David Trombley, Trombly.
Thank you very much. May proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Mr. Trombley. My name is Michael Ireland. I'm Jason Boyd's attorney. Do you know Jason Boyd?
I do.
And how do you know him?
He was a coach originally for the Bandera Youth Soccer League, which I ran for about 6 years.
Okay. And do you know Oliver Boyd?
I do.
And is that by virtue of Jason being a coach?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And do you have personal knowledge as to what Jason is like as a soccer coach?
I do. He is one of our, I'm not with the league anymore. I moved last year, but as long as I was there, was one of our consistently more sought after coaches in the various age divisions that he coached in.
Okay. Why was that?
He had a better rapport with the kids than a lot of our coaches. A lot of our coaches are a little more when they're new, or they tend to be a little more win centric. And Jason was more about the experience than the win. He didn't always pick the most winning kids. He didn't always even win. He coached like me. It was more about the kids having an enjoyable season than it was just scoring the win.
Okay. And is he pretty involved, I guess?
He would
local soccer.
He would coach his team. He helped with other teams. He picked up multiple teams. My last full year there was 2019 and then early 2020, but the last full season we had before COVID, fall of 2019, I actually picked him as our coach / volunteer of the year.
Volunteer of the year?
Yes.
Okay. And is there certain criteria that go into choosing a volunteer of the year?
We're looking for a coach or volunteer in general that is good with the kids. Again, we don't care about how they win. We care about the way that they treat the kids, the way they treat the parents, and then the feedback that we get from the families that are involved with that team. And it was just a consistent experience that we had with Jason.
Okay. So is it fair to say that he's well respected and within the league?
Yeah, he was a coach we would regularly call to pick up extra teams if we were short teams, because we knew we could count on the experience those kids would have.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
No questions.
No questions, Your Honor.
Is this witness be excused?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Trombley. You're free to leave.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'll call Rob McKinley.
Mr. McKinley, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can. Will you please raise your right hand? In the matter before the court, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Can you please give your full name to court reporter?
Robert Hunt McKinley, Jr.
Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. McKinley. My name is Michael Ireland. I am Jason Boyd's attorney. Do you know Jason Boyd?
Yes, I do.
And how do you know Jason?
Just as a friend and in the Hill Country
Okay. And where do you currently reside?
and Conroe, Texas, just north of Houston.
Okay. So how did you come to know Jason?
Well, I've got to know Jason when I started coming up to his restaurant in about 2006. I started visiting the restaurant at the time, the Grotto.
Okay. And did you become friends through those interactions?
Yeah, I sure did. I've got a little bit written up here that kind of tells the story if you'd like me to share.
Well, so I don't want you to read from anything. Okay.
That's fine. No problem.
And what you're talking about, you didn't receive from me, is that correct?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay. All right. So, do you own property in Kerr County or Bandera County?
Yeah, in Bandera County, I'd been coming up to the hill country. I was born and grew up in San Antonio, and then I came to Houston to go to college. But I've been up in the hill country since I was 6 years old, growing up in San Antonio. And then in 1999, I was able to purchase a ranch just outside of Bandera. So native Texan, and love our heritage here.
Okay. How much time do you spend in Bandera?
Oh, on an annual basis, I'm frequenting through the fall, through the hunting season, a good amount. So during the September to December time period, it might be 30 to 50%. And then the rest of the year is about every other month that I'm spending time up in the hill country.
Okay. And so even though Jason doesn't own a restaurant anymore, the two of you still keep in contact?
Yes, we do. Yeah, actually, during the years of the restaurant at the Grotto, that's where I, met him. And actually I met, Becca and Abby at those times. So we all became friends back in those days of the Grotto. And then from there, at times I had Jason would come out, and he'd be a chef to outings and all that I've hosted through the years. And so that's been an ongoing basis ever since then.
Okay. Have you ever met Oliver or Elliot?
Yes, I all the time from knowing Jason and Becca. And I was around when Oliver was born and Elliot was born, and I've had Jason, Oliver, and Elliot have visited the ranch at a few times and enjoy the outdoors with just good father and son time.
Okay. And in your time knowing Jason and spending time around his sons, how would you describe him as a father?
I'd consider him and describe him as a great father. I've been around and to watch, and I think Elliot and Oliver are both fortunate to have a caring and loving father like him. I've always seen Jason treat the boys in a perfect and appropriate manner, and I've also seen the boys treat their father with respect and proper attention.
Okay. So is there anything about the relationship that stands out as abnormal or unusual?
Not in a negative manner at all.
Okay.
Like, jealous of the amount of attention and time and all that he shared with his sons, and makes me reflect that I should have paid more attention to my son's upbringing and all, to share a good time.
Okay. What sorts of positive aspects do you see from him when you're around him and the boys?
Well, the positive aspects of good discipline, that in the manner of just a respectful manner. I've never seen the boys not behave in a good manner. And so I reflect back to Oliver and Oliver's health situations from birth, just the caregiving that Jason's given to him. He's just always been endearing and solid all the time. And I've witnessed that. And so that's probably the standout effort. I mean, just from knowing and communicating with Jason, knowing that he's there as a coach to the sports, and it's the priority to make sure that he's taking care of the boys is paramount. So any kind of outings or times I'd want to see if Jason was available, it was always secondary to what his parenting needs were to the boys.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Aki?
I'm sorry, Judge. No questions.
Mr. McGuire?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. You're free to leave the hearing.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. McKinley.
And I think I have one witness left. I believe her name is Holly. She's on.
I have a Holly's iPhone. Good morning, ma'am. Can you hear us? If you would, please unmute.
There you go. Can you hear me
There we
now?
go. I can. Will you please raise your right hand? In the matter before the court, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Can you please give the court reporter your full name?
Holly Aaron Hofstetter.
Okay, and is it Holly with an I?
Holly with an I, yes, sir.
Thank you. May proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Hofstetter. My name is Michael Ireland. I am Jason Boyd's attorney. How do you know Jason Boyd?
He's my brother.
Okay. And are you a much younger sibling than him? To him?
Well, about 4 years, I guess.
Okay. And where do you reside?
In McKinney, Texas,
And how long have you lived in McKinney?
since 2006.
Okay. And what is your relationship with Jason like?
It's very good.
Okay. How often do you guys talk?
We talk fairly often. I mean, I would say several times a month at least.
Okay. And do you know Oliver and Elliot?
Yes, of course I do.
Okay. And you've met them in person?
Yes.
Okay. When's the last time you saw Oliver and Elliot?
I want to say they came down for Christmas. Well, actually, no, we were down in San Antonio after that. So I would say January.
Okay. Do you see them multiple times a year?
Yes.
And so you've had the occasion to witness your brother be a parent to his sons?
Yes.
Okay. And how would you describe him as a dad?
He's a great dad. He's very patient. He likes to have fun with them. So, I mean, I would say that he's just all around a good dad.
Okay. Have you ever witnessed him be inappropriate with them?
No, never.
Okay. Are you familiar with, well, strike that. When you are around him and the children, what are their attitudes towards their father?
Great. I mean, they're always laughing and playing. And to me, it's always been good anytime I've been around them.
Okay. And do you have any personal knowledge as to whether or not your brother makes medical decisions for Oliver or participates in his medical care?
Yes, he participates. Absolutely.
Okay. Are you familiar with what your brother does for a living?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any concerns about your brother providing proper medical care for his children?
No, I mean, he would absolutely go to the ends of the earth to do whatever is best for those kids.
Okay. Would he ever neglect their health or an emergency situation in favor of some holistic or alternative medicine?
Never, never.
And you're not aware that that's ever happened?
No.
Okay. Do you know Rebecca Mcmillan?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And how well do you know Rebecca?
Well, I've known them ever since they've been together. So I've known her for several years.
Okay. Have you had the occasion to spend time around her?
Yes, when we would go down there to visit, she would come out to my parents' ranch with the boys.
Okay. And was there anything unusual about their relationship, Jason and Rebecca?
No, actually, no. I mean, with all the family around, we have all the kids there and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was always busy whenever we were in town because everybody was trying to visit for the quick time that we were there. So it was always fine while we were there. He always kept it appropriate around the family.
All right, I will pass the witness.
No questions.
McGuire,
No questions, Your Honor.
may this witness be excused?
Yes, Your
Thank
Honor.
you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Your Honor, respondent rests.
We close.
And close, Mr. Ireland.
Yes, Judge.
Mr. McGuire, do you have anything you want to present?
Your Honor, on behalf of the children in this case, I don't know how the court wants me to proceed. If you just want my thoughts and impressions, I'm happy to provide that now. I don't have any witness testimony to present though.
Okay. Why don't we do that? Let me get your perceptions of this case, and then we can proceed to closing with the other two.
Sure, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, I've had the opportunity to meet with both parents and with the boys on multiple occasions. And what I can tell you is that it's my impression that the boys are tremendously bonded to both mom and dad. Oliver is now 9 years old. Elliot is 4 years old. And the impressions, the things that strike me about Oliver the most is this kid is what I'll call incandescently bright. He's a very smart kid, and he's very articulate, and he has made it very clear to me that he wants the possession to stay the same. This is a divorce, and divorces are very tough, and there's bitterness between the parents. There's anger between the parents, but from what I have seen here, both parents are very well bonded to these children, and both parents do a good job with these children and offer specific things that only they can offer. And I think both parents are worthy of dignity and respect to one another. So from my impression, I do believe, and we go through and look at the Holly factors, the desires of the children are number one. And so Oliver has stated his desire to me on multiple occasions is what he wants. Is it an ideal situation? No, but the parties have chosen to get a divorce. And unfortunately, that's the reality. And I do believe it would be in the best interest of the children to continue that current possession schedule, given the fact that that's what Oliver's stated desire is. And I can tell the court that as Oliver goes, I think so too goes Elliot. He's a very little, but they're very close together. And so will this possession schedule last or be appropriate 5-10 years from now? I don't know, but I just think right now that the boys have been through enough. They're traumatized by the fact, and I don't mean this in any way that either parent has traumatized the children. It's just the nature of this proceeding. Parents are split up, and I don't think it would be beneficial to change things now. So that's my position.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Ecke, closing statement.
I'll try to be brief. I'm not notoriously long-winded, but we'll see what happens. I do want to commend the parties. I think that Mr. Boyd is a good father, and I think that Ms. Mcmillan is a good mother, and I think that we're in a situation where these boys are lucky to have both the parents. I know that I was hard on Mr. Boyd, and I apologize. That's my job. I firmly believe that my client is correct in her assertion that she should be appointed the joint managing conservator with the exclusive right to determine the primary residence of the children. And the reason that I disagree with Mr. McGuire is because of the facts that the child fell behind on the schoolwork, the facts of the tardies, the facts of the absences. What I see is a fundamental issue of failure to take responsibility for actions, and the testimony of Abby, which I found particularly compelling. We don't normally get a custody case where there's a person who's old enough to testify in court and give us a reliable perspective of the various parenting styles. What Abby said about her mother was that she's open, she loves to communicate, she explains why things are the way they are. She's caring with her kids. Her kids are her world. What she said about Mr. Boyd's parenting style is that he talks down to them. You don't feel like, he tells people they don't feel that way. He talks in circles. If he's mad at you, he would be strict or leave. He's avoidant, and that he punched a hole in a wall one time. So I know that that's Becca's daughter, and the various family members who are going to testify on behalf of Mr. Boyd and Ms. Mcmillan are definitely not super objective, but that doesn't mean that they're unreliable. I believe Mr. Boyd's witnesses when they say he is a good father. I think that he is. The issue isn't whether he is a good father. The issue is whether he makes the decisions that are in the best interest of the children, and the evidence shows that he does not. The first job I ever had, I was very gifted to have a kind of a sage woman as my mentor, and she very early on told me that if you listen to somebody long enough, they will tell you more than they intend to say. And that's exactly what Mr. Boyd did. He did. I don't think he intended to admit to us that he and his girlfriend administer homework to the children. And that is a tell. And the fact that he made the very poor decision to, in a very intense degree, integrate his girlfriend into his children's lives during the divorce is a tell. And what really stuck with me in these weeks that we've had some time to reflect is his own testimony, which he reiterated today. What he said today, I wrote it down, was Oliver would make us late for school. And he said that in the first at the first half of the trial as well. And the problem with that testimony is that the children should not be in control. The children are children. And as the court is aware, children will push the envelope and test the parents. And it's the parents' job to respond in a way that ensures that they are protected and that they are made to comply with societal expectations. I have a daughter that if I am late for her school, and I have been late twice, I have to actually get out of my car and walk her into the school and write down a reason why we are late. The second time that happened, I went home and I told everybody we are waking up 15 minutes earlier than before, and that's what we have done every day since then, and she has never been tardy again, not one time. My job as a parent is to ensure that my daughter arrives on time for school. And that was the one hint that I gathered from Mr. Boyd's testimony. So respectfully, I do think the parties should be joint managing conservators. I do think that Mr. Boyd deserves a standard possession order with alternate beginning and ending times. And as the court is aware, that's almost 50% of the kids' free time. But what the court would accomplish by naming Becca primary with the exclusive right to determine the primary residence of the children would be that these kids would get the support they need to attend the public school that Mr. Boyd fought so hard against. As he even stated, it's good for them. They have friendships, which are important, and there's a structure that they did not get there when he was their homeschool teacher. With respect to Abby, he passed the baton on the homeschooling to his sister and to Becca. So she's a different story, but what we have is a success story with Becca Mcmillan. She has successfully parented a child to be in the top 10% of her class. I thought she was articulate and seemed super intelligent and seems to be doing well in San Marcos. And Abby also testified about the success of the co-parenting between her mother and her father. So we have a proven track record of successful parenting and of successful co-parenting with Ms. Mcmillan, and respectfully, I would ask the court to make that order. I have done some math. I've added up the half of the pay down on the mortgage, the unpaid spousal support, and the AT&T bill. We would ask the court to enter a judgment in $11,574.48 for the petitioner to equalize the division. And we thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, if y'all would, let's do this. Let's take about a 10-minute recess, and that'll give me time to go back and make sure I don't miss anything from the previous first half of the hearing. And then I'll be back with an order.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Oh, can I make a closing?
Sure.
Just briefly, Judge. Mr. Ecke stated that our witnesses haven't been objective. I think the same could be said about Abby. She's going to be loyal to her mom. And I think that was pretty evident in what she had to say. I think the evidence was clear that Jason is the primary medical decision maker for these kids, especially Oliver, who went through a open heart surgery in November of last year, which is that's not a common thing. That's a big deal. And there's no controverting evidence that he was not the one who made the appointments, made the decisions albeit with Ms. Mcmillan's input, but for whatever reason, she wasn't willing to do those things for her son, but they got done. I think realistically, her testimony doesn't match the evidence in the case, Judge, especially when it comes to schooling. She admitted last time we were here that most of the unexcused absences were during her periods of possession. She railed against Mr. Boyd at the March 25th beginning of the trial about the kids missing school, or Oliver missing school. And then within 2 weeks of that trial, turned around and took Oliver to Florida in violation of the standing order, without the court's permission, without discussing the issue with Jason. And so really those types of actions show she does what she wants when she wants. And so there really is no personal responsibility on her part. I think the evidence is clear that my client takes the kids' medical conditions at heart and is very serious about getting them addressed. He takes Oliver's schooling to heart and is very serious about making sure that he attends school and that schoolwork is completed. And so we're just asking that he be named the primary conservator with the exclusive right to determine the residence of the kids within Bandera, that the court follow Mr. McGuire's recommendation as far as possession and access, award him any personal property in his possession, that his house, the items within the house and the Suburban be his separate property, and then reimbursement for diminution of value of the Suburban to his separate estate in the value of $5,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out there.
Judge, you want us to just mute ourselves and come back in about 10 minutes?
If you would, please. Yeah, let's, looks like the clock, it's about 25 after. Let's make sure everybody's back by 25 till. Thank you. All right, sorry about the delay. It took me a little bit longer than I planned on. Paul, you ready? Okay. First off, let me say that we got a negative. Let's try it again. All right. First off, let me tell you that this is somewhat of an unusual case, and you've heard all the attorneys refer to it, that we have a divorce where both parents are good parents for the kids. And it's really nice to have two parents that both love their kids, that care for their kids, that even though you may have differences between you, seem to be able to communicate for the best interest of your children. So thank you for that, and your children will be much, much better off because of that. So please take that into consideration on your future actions also. But I do commend both of you for that.
Thank you.
That being said, it's incumbent upon the court to make a decision based on the facts and the evidence presented to it. And the order that you're fixing to hear will be based on what I believe is in the best interest of the children. Okay. Your attorneys can explain to you later if there's an opportunity to modify or if you deem it appropriate to modify. But I'm entering this order based on the fact that your children seem to be doing very well and thriving at this time. Okay. Court will find that it does have jurisdiction of this case. Will grant the divorce as requested. Will enter the following orders reflecting the two hearings that occurred on March 25th, 2021 and April 28th, 2021. Will order the mother and the father to both be joint managing conservators of the children. Will give mom the exclusive right to establish the residence in Bandera County. Possession order will continue exactly as it's been running right now, week on, week off, so long as dad and mom live in the same county. You need to understand, Mr. Boyd, if you move out of Bandera County for some reason, which I don't anticipate, you know, if somebody pops up and offers you a $2 million a year job, you may want to move. So if something like that happens, then your visitation will revert back to full extended standard, okay?
Yes, sir.
So, but as long as you're in the same county, then that's anticipated. You'll continue the way you are right now. There's no child support ordered between either one of you. It's my understanding the health insurance is through Medicaid.
Yes,
If that's still correct, then each one of you is going to be ordered to pay $35 a month reimbursement to the state of Texas to reimburse for the Medicaid. And that'll go through the child support disbursement unit. Schooling for your children they need to remain in a public school unless both of you agree to move them back to homeschool. Your kids are thriving, they're doing great, and there's no evidence before the court that both of you aren't perfectly capable of helping them to continue to be very successful. So, as far as the property goes, the vehicles, the 2000, and I'm not sure if it's a 2002 or 2004, but Chevy Suburban and the 1999 pickup will go with the husband. 2018 Nissan Rogue with the wife. Court will confirm that 710 Hackberry is confirmed as the father's separate property. And each of you will keep possession of your own personal property. Each of you will pay your own attorney's fees. And the court will award a judgment for the wife in the amount of $11,438.03. That covers the reimbursement, the AT&T bill, the outstanding $200 ER bill, and then the spousal support that was delinquent on. What did I miss?
Do we want to specify in the order that the pickup and drop off will continue to be at the park?
The park or an agreed public location. Or as agreed between the parties. How about that?
Could I ask the court to impose a morality provision?
Any opinion? I can't hear you, Mr. Arlen.
Apologize, Judge. I had my cough button on. I think a morality clause really isn't needed in this case. This divorce, unfortunately, has taken a very long time. These people have moved on. Both testified that they were in relationships while the divorce was pending. My client has been in a relationship for more than a year, and it sounds like her relationship with the children is appropriate. So I just don't see that it's needed, and certainly not in their best interest.
Mr. McGuire?
Your Honor, I don't see the need for one, given the fact that there has not been one for the last couple of years that I'm aware of.
Okay. Yeah, the court will deny the request for a morality clause. What else? All right. who's
All
gonna-
the rights going to be independent, except for the primary residence?
Correct.
I don't believe I have anything further.
I
Nothing
think that's
further.
everything on my notes.
Okay. Mr. Ecke, are you going to do the honors?
I will, I'm the petitioner.
Okay. All right. If y'all would, please try to get me the order within 30 days. I would greatly appreciate it.
We'll do that.
Thank you, Your
Thank
Honor.
y'all. Have a great day.
Thank you,
Will we
Judge.
be excused?
You may.